My name is Ella Algood. I am 36 years old. For 16 years, my parents told everyone I was a worthless dropout who got pregnant and threw my life away. At every single family gathering, they pointed at me as the ultimate warning to the younger cousins. Don't end up like Ella. That irresponsible girl who ruined her future and shamed this entire family. They never met my daughter Sophie. They never sent her one birthday card. Not one. They never corrected the lie that I was living on welfare and sleeping around with strangers. Then last Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, at exactly 6:07 in the evening, the family group chat exploded with a single message. Turn on channel 9 right now. My mother turned on the television, and she dropped the remote onto the living room floor. The chyron underneath my face on the screen simply read, Dr. Ella Algood, MD, Chief of Pediatric Surgery. And in that single second, 16 years of their carefully constructed lies began to burn alive on live television in front of every person who had ever believed them. What happened next destroyed everything they thought they knew about me. But before I tell you what they saw on Channel 9, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have ever been called a failure by the very people who were supposed to love you unconditionally. Drop a comment down below and tell me where you are watching from right now, and what time it is there in your part of the world. I read every single comment. Now, let me take you back to the beginning of that Tuesday. Because what appeared on that screen was only the ending of a very long day. A day that began at 6:30 in the morning inside a sterile operating room, with two tiny babies fighting for their lives, and a patient I did not yet know was my own cousin. I arrived at Mercy Children's Hospital in complete darkness. March 10th. A Tuesday. The surgical board listed my case in red marker, the color we use only for the highest risk procedures. Morrison, J., bilateral TTTS. Dr. Algood. The patient was 28 weeks pregnant with identical twins, and they had been diagnosed with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. Without immediate surgical intervention, both babies would be dead within a week. With intervention, I had approximately a 94% chance of saving them both. My resident was already scrubbing in when I walked into the preoperative area. Chief, this is your 32nd TTTS case. Is that right? 34th, I said, without looking up from the patient file. Numbers matter in this room. The file mentioned that the patient had a large extended Catholic family, with multiple generations present at the consultation. Very religious. Very concerned about experimental procedures. I had spent an entire hour the previous week reassuring them that laser ablation was a standard treatment, not experimental. That I had personally performed this procedure 33 times before. That their babies had the best possible chance of survival with me. I did not know then that the woman on my operating table was Jenna Morrison. My cousin. My mother's sister's daughter. The golden child of our family, who had once stood in my parents' kitchen when she was 17 years old and said, "Thank God Aunt Helen raised me right, not like Ella." I just knew that two tiny hearts were failing, and I had maybe 90 minutes to save them. At 6:28 in the morning, I made the first incision. The surgery took 3 hours and 52 minutes. My hands moved through the procedure the exact same way they had moved through 33 others before it. Precise. Controlled. No wasted motion. Laser fiber inserted. Targeting placental vessels. Recipient twin heart rate 148. Donor heart rate 162. The gallery above the operating room was full of medical students and residents watching on monitors. Somewhere up there, Jenna's husband Michael was watching too, though I did not know that yet. At 8:45, I hit a complication. An unexpected vessel branch that required immediate repositioning. Both twins' heart rates started dropping. My resident's breath caught audibly beside me. Adjusting angle 17 degrees, I said, my voice absolutely level. Hold. Everyone in the operating room froze. I corrected. The heart rate stabilized. Continuing. The surgical nurse exhaled so quietly that I almost did not hear it. But I did hear it. Because in an operating room, I hear absolutely everything. At 10:22 in the morning, I closed the final suture. Both twins stable. Strong heartbeats visible on the ultrasound monitor. In the recovery room an hour later, Jenna would wake up and ask if her babies were okay. And I would tell her yes, both of them were alive. And she could see their heartbeats on the screen right now. I did not know yet that this surgery would be on the evening news that same day. I did not know that in less than 8 hours, my own mother would see my face on television, and her entire world would collapse in on itself. I just knew that I had done my job. 2 lives saved. Another successful case. I was washing my hands at the surgical sink when my resident approached me. Dr. Algood. The patient's family is asking to thank you personally. Standard protocol. I will check on her in an hour, I said. Let her rest now. I walked back to my office and checked my phone. Sophie had texted me during the surgery. How did it go, Mom? I replied, saved 2. See you tonight. She sent back a single heart emoji. My daughter is 16 years old, and she has watched me save lives for as long as she can remember. She knows exactly what my work costs. She also knows exactly what it is worth. On my desk was a handwritten note from the hospital public relations office. Channel 9 called. They want to interview you about this morning's surgery for their 6 o'clock evening health segment. High public interest. I stared at that note for a very long time. A month earlier, Sophie had asked me a question. We were having dinner, just the 2 of us, like we always did. And she had said, Mom, do you ever wonder if your family knows what you actually do? Sometimes, I had said. Do you want them to know? I had paused, my fork halfway to my mouth. I want them to find out the way everyone else does. From someone who isn't me. From a source they can't dismiss. Like what? I don't know, I had said. The news. We had both laughed at the time. It had seemed completely impossible then. But now Channel 9 was asking. And I was holding that note in my hand. And I was thinking about my mother telling 32 people, at Easter dinner, in April of 2011, that I had dropped out of college, because I was too busy sleeping around to handle any kind of responsibility. I was thinking about 16 years of absolute silence. 16 years of building something with my own 2 hands, that they had said I would never be capable of building. I smoothed out the note on my desk. I picked up my phone. I called hospital public relations. Schedule it, I said. 3:15 this afternoon, if they can make that work. They can make anything work for you, Chief, the PR director said. This program is making national news. You are a star. I was not a star. I was a woman who had spent 16 years becoming someone her family swore was impossible to become. And I was about to let the entire city know it. But first, I had to check on my patient. At 11:45 in the morning, I walked into Jenna's recovery room. She was awake, still groggy from the anesthesia. Her husband Michael sat beside her bed, holding her hand gently. I was looking down at her chart when she spoke. Dr. Algood. I looked up. I saw her face. The world stopped for exactly 2.3 seconds. Jenna Morrison. My cousin. I had not seen her in 16 years. But I knew that face immediately. I had seen it in family photos on Facebook before I blocked every single one of them. I had seen it at the last family gathering I had ever attended, right before I left for medical school and never came back. Her eyes went wide with recognition. Ella? I felt my professional mask slide into place like a surgical glove. Perfect fit. No gaps anywhere. Mrs. Morrison, I said. Yes. I am the surgeon who performed your procedure this morning. I have reviewed your post-operative status. Both twins are stable with strong heartbeats. You should make a full recovery. You are a doctor. Her voice was small and confused. They said you dropped out. I met her eyes with complete calm. No emotion leaking through. I did not drop out. I graduated from medical school in 2015. I completed my residency in 2020. I finished my fellowship in 2023. I am the chief of pediatric surgery here at Mercy Children's Hospital. And this morning, I saved your babies' lives. Do you have any questions about your recovery protocol? Jenna's husband Michael was looking between the two of us, clearly confused by the tension suddenly filling the room. Jenna's hand moved to her pregnant belly. Protective. Instinctive. I did not know, she whispered. I thought you were. I know what they said. I heard it for years before I stopped listening. Your twins are healthy, Mrs. Morrison. That is what matters right now. Can you? She swallowed hard. Tears were forming in her eyes. Can you save them? I know you just did. But I mean long term. Will they be okay? Yes, I said. I have performed this procedure 33 times before today. All but 2 survived to full-term delivery. Your twins have an excellent prognosis. You did everything right by coming here. She was crying now. Full tears streaming down her face. Michael handed her a tissue, his expression completely bewildered. I am sorry, Jenna said. For everything. For all the times I did not defend you. For believing them. For being part of it. I could have said so many things in that single moment. I could have said I forgave her. I could have said it did not matter anymore. I could have said we could talk about it all later. Instead, I said, you are my patient right now. Your babies are my priority. Everything else can wait until they are safe. Okay, she nodded, wiping her eyes. Okay. I made my notes in her chart. I confirmed her follow-up appointment schedule. I gave Michael detailed instructions for the next 48 hours. And then I walked out of that room with my spine absolutely straight, and my hands absolutely steady. In the hallway, I stopped. I leaned against the wall for exactly 5 seconds. I breathed. Then I went back to my office, and I confirmed the Channel 9 interview for 3:15 that afternoon. Because if Jenna knew, the rest of the family would know very soon. And I wanted them to hear the whole truth. Not from Jenna's confused retelling. Not from whispered phone calls between aunts. Not from me defending myself. I wanted them to hear it from the news. From a source they could not dismiss, or spin, or ignore. But before any of that happened, I need to tell you how I got there. Because the woman who saved Jenna's twins that morning did not appear out of nowhere. She was built piece by piece over 16 long years of impossible choices, and impossible work. And it all started in my parents' kitchen on a Saturday afternoon in April of the year 2010, when I was 20 years old and 2 months pregnant. I had called home on Friday night. I had asked to come home for the weekend. Something in my voice made my mother immediately ask, what happened? I need to talk to you both in person, I had said. The silence on the line lasted 8 full seconds. I counted every one of them. Then come home Saturday. 2 in the afternoon. Your brothers will be at basketball practice. She knew. She already knew. I drove the 6 hours from my college to their house. I walked in through the kitchen door at exactly 2 in the afternoon. My parents were already sitting at the kitchen table waiting for me. That table was solid oak. Heavy. It had a knot in the wood grain near the edge that I used to trace with my finger while I did my homework as a child. I traced it that day too, while I told them I was pregnant. My mother's face went completely white. My father stood up and started pacing the kitchen floor. "How could you be so careless?" Those were my mother's first words to me. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "What do you need from us?" Just, "How could you be so careless? So reckless?" "I am keeping the baby," I said. "Don't." My mother's voice was sharp as a blade. "Don't even finish that sentence in this house." My father sat back down. He put his hands flat on the wooden table. "Who is the father?" "He is gone. He moved to graduate school in Oregon." It was brief. Brief? My mother's laugh was bitter. "You threw away your entire future for brief." "I did not throw anything away. I am going to." "You are going to what?" "Raise a baby completely alone. Work a minimum wage job. Go on welfare. Is that your plan?" "I am going to finish school. I am going to medical school. I am going to." My father stood up again. He left the room. He came back holding his checkbook. He sat down and wrote something on a check. He slid it across the table toward me. $28,000. 1 year's tuition. The memo line was blank. "Or," he said, "you make the responsible choice." I looked at the check. At the number. At everything it represented. My mother leaned forward across the table. "We have already talked to Father Murphy. There is a family through the church. Good Catholics. They cannot have children of their own. They are willing to adopt. Private. Closed adoption. The baby goes to a good home. You come back to school in the fall semester. Nobody needs to know. Your future stays intact. The family reputation stays intact. You want me to give up my baby. We want you to be smart. You are 20 years old, Ella. You cannot raise a child alone. You did. At 22, you were married to my father. In the church. This is completely different. Because I am not married. Because you are not ready. Because you will ruin your life and this baby's life. Because I will not watch you destroy everything you have worked for. What if I want to keep her? Then you do it without us. The words hung in the air between the three of us. Final. No room for negotiation. I looked at my mother. I looked at my father. I looked at the check still lying on that heavy oak table. "I am keeping my baby," I said. "I will figure out the rest." My mother's face hardened into stone. "If you walk out that door with this decision, you do not come back to this house. We will not be part of this mistake. We will not enable your irresponsibility. And we will not let you drag this entire family down with you." I picked up my purse. I stood up. "She is not a mistake," I said. "But this conversation is." I walked to the door. My father's voice stopped me. "You will be a welfare mother sleeping around, proving everyone right about girls like you. Is that what you want?" I turned back. I looked at him. "Girls like me," I said quietly. "Irresponsible ones. Who cannot control themselves." The words hit like a physical blow to my stomach. But I did not let my face show any of it. "I will send you a graduation announcement," I said. "From medical school. In 4 years. You will not believe it is real. But it will be." Then I left. I drove back to campus that same night. I transferred to a different university 6 hours away from them. I applied for every scholarship, every grant, and every work-study program I could find. When Sophie was born in June of 2010, I was completely alone in the hospital. Except for one nurse who held my hand, because I did not have anyone else in the entire world. Sophie weighed 6 pounds and 8 ounces. She had my nose. She had my eyes. She had my stubborn chin. And when they placed her in my arms for the very first time, I made her a solemn promise. Your grandmother thinks I ruined my life by having you. She is wrong. You are the first thing I have ever done that actually matters. And someday, I am going to prove it. Not to her. To you. 11 months later, Easter of 2011, my mother hosted the big family gathering. 32 people attended. I was not invited. I saw the photos on Facebook before I blocked every single one of them. The whole extended family was posed on the front porch. My parents stood in the center. My brothers stood on either side. The space where I should have been was simply gone. Invisible. As if I had never existed at all. The caption underneath read, "Blessed family. Blessed life." That same day, I got a text message from my cousin Bethany. Your mom said you dropped out. Are you okay? That was when I realized they had started the narrative. The lie that would come to define the next 16 years of my life. I called my mother's cell phone. No answer. I called the house. My father picked up the line. You are telling people I dropped out. You did drop out. Of this family. Of your responsibilities. Of the life we planned for you. I am applying to medical schools. I am. You are raising a baby alone in an apartment you can barely afford. That is what you are. That is what everyone needs to know. You made your choice. Now live with it. He hung up the phone. I screenshot that Easter photo. I saved it in a folder on my laptop labeled simply Evidence. I did not know what I would ever do with it. I just knew that someday, it might matter that I could prove I had been erased. But that day, sitting in my tiny studio apartment with 5-month-old Sophie asleep in a used crib I had bought from Goodwill for $30, I made another solemn promise. This one to myself. I would become everything they had said I could not be. Not to prove them wrong. Not for revenge. But because my daughter deserved a mother who did not give up. Who did not believe the lies. Who built something real from her own 2 hands. So that is exactly what I did. I worked 3 jobs at once. Night custodian at the hospital. $12 an hour. 30 hours a week. Weekend daycare worker. $10 an hour. Medical transcription from home. $15 an hour, whenever Sophie was sleeping. I studied for the MCAT during her afternoon naps. I wrote my medical school application essays at 2 in the morning while bottle feeding her in the rocking chair. The hospital let me use their daycare, at a discount, because I was an employee. Sophie learned to crawl in that daycare while I mopped floors 3 stories above her. In March of 2011, 3 medical school acceptance letters arrived in my mailbox on the same day. All 3 offered full scholarships plus a monthly stipend. I chose the one 6 hours away from my hometown. Far enough that we would never accidentally run into family. Close enough that I did not have to explain why I was moving across the country. Sophie was 9 months old when we packed everything we owned into my 2003 Honda Civic and left on a Tuesday morning. I never once looked back. Medical school was 4 years of barely sleeping. Sophie aged 1 through 5. First day of medical school, she was in the hospital daycare drawing pictures of mommy in a white coat. Last day of medical school, she was in kindergarten, reading at a third grade level because I read to her every single night, no matter how exhausted I was. My classmates went to bars and study groups and networking events. I went home to bedtime stories and peanut butter sandwich dinners and a daughter who asked questions like, "Mama, why are you always so tired?" And I would say, "Because I am building us a better life, baby. It is very hard work. But we are doing it. You and me." In 2013, my medical school advisor called me into her office. "Miss Algood, your board scores are exceptional. But your participation in extracurricular activities is minimal." "I have a 3-year-old, I said. "I understand that. But residency programs look for well-rounded candidates. I am raising a child alone, while maintaining a 3.9 grade point average. That is pretty well-rounded." She did not know what to say to that. I graduated medical school in May of 2015. Sophie was 5 years old. She sat in the audience in a little blue dress I had bought from Target for $15. And when they called my name over the loudspeaker, Ella Marie Algood, Doctor of Medicine, Honors in Pediatrics, she stood up on her chair and clapped as loudly as she could. 3 rows behind her, an older couple looked at each other, confused. They had the same last name as me. They had driven 2 hours that day to see their nephew graduate. They did not realize that the woman walking across the stage was me. The girl they had been told had dropped out of college 16 years ago. They never made the connection. Then came residency. 5 years of 80-hour work weeks. Sophie aged 5 through 10. I slept 4 hours a night. Sophie learned independence far too early. She would make her own breakfast. She would pack her own lunch. She would do her homework at the kitchen table and check it herself, because I was at the hospital. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, helped with childcare. $600 a month that I could barely afford. But she loved Sophie like her own granddaughter. And Sophie loved her right back. In 2017, Sophie called me at the hospital during my 32nd hour of a single shift. "Mama, when are you coming home?" "I do not know, baby. Maybe morning. You said that yesterday." I closed my eyes. I leaned against the hospital corridor wall for a moment. "I know. I am sorry. Can Mrs. Patterson stay with you tonight?" "She is here." "Mama, are you saving someone?" "Yes." "Okay. Save them." That was the moment I knew she understood. 7 years old, and she understood that sometimes the work matters more than sleep. That saving lives meant sacrifice. That we were building something much bigger than just the 2 of us. In 2018, Sophie's 4th grade teacher assigned an essay titled, "What Does Your Parent Do?" Sophie wrote, "My mom is a doctor. She saves babies. Sometimes she is too tired to save herself, but she does it anyway. She is the bravest person I know." The teacher called me, concerned about that middle sentence. I promised her Sophie was fine. I was lying. We were both exhausted. But we were making it. I was not chosen for chief resident in 2019. They picked a male colleague with identical test scores to mine. The program director mentioned something about personality fit. I knew exactly what that meant. I did not fight it. I used the extra time to study for fellowship applications. That night, Sophie asked me, "Are you mad they did not pick you?" "No," I said. "I am already picked by you. Pediatric Surgery Fellowship. 3 more years of training." Sophie aged 10 through 13. We were finally finding our rhythm as a family of 2. My hours became slightly more manageable. Sophie was old enough to understand what I did in detail now. She started reading my medical journals. Not because I asked her to. Because she wanted to understand why I was never home. In 2022, when she was 12, she asked me, "Mom, can I watch one of your surgeries?" "Sophie, it is intense. Blood. Small spaces. I know. I have been reading your journals." She gestured to the stack of medical journals on our coffee table. Graduate-level material. She was 12 years old. "You have been reading those. I want to understand what you do. Can I watch?" I showed her a video of a successful TTTS laser ablation surgery. 48 minutes of operating room footage. She watched the entire thing without looking away once. Afterwards, she said, "Mom, you are like a superhero. But real." That was when I knew. She did not just accept my absence. She honored it. I completed my fellowship in June of 2023. The program director mentioned me in his graduation speech. Dr. Algood has shown us what is possible when skill meets pure determination. She is going to change prenatal surgery in this country. Sophie, 13 years old, leaned over and whispered, "Do you think your parents know what you did?" I whispered back, "No. And I do not care anymore." She whispered, "Liar." I smiled. "Yeah. A little." In January of 2024, at age 34, I was promoted to Chief of Pediatric Surgery at Mercy Children's Hospital. The youngest in the hospital's entire history. The plaque outside my office read, Ella Algood, MD Chief of Pediatric Surgery. Director of Prenatal Intervention Program. Sophie took a photo of it on her phone. I asked her why. "For when I need to remember what is possible," she said. I built that prenatal surgery program from the ground up. I recruited the best team in the region. I established all the protocols myself. In the first year of operation, we handled 89 high-risk pregnancies. We saved 168 babies. The local medical journal ran a profile about the program. A small mention appeared in the state medical board newsletter. Nothing that would reach my family 6 hours away in a completely different media market. Nothing they would ever see unless they were actively looking. They were not looking. In February of 2026, 1 month before everything changed forever, Sophie asked me during dinner, "Mom, do you ever wonder if your family knows what you do now?" "Sometimes." "Do you want them to know?" That was when I said it. I want them to find out the way everyone else does. From someone who is not me. From a source they cannot dismiss. We had laughed about the news thing together. But I had meant every single word of it. On February 28th, a high-risk obstetrician called my office with an urgent referral. Twins at 26 weeks. TTTS diagnosis. Deteriorating rapidly. The patient was devoutly Catholic. Anxious about what she called experimental procedures. The referring physician mentioned that the patient had a large extended family who wanted to be involved in every medical decision. My assistant scheduled the consultation for March 3rd. The patient's name was Morrison, Jennifer. I Googled her out of habit that night at home. A LinkedIn profile appeared. Teacher at St. Catherine's Elementary School. Graduated from the same Catholic university my parents had always praised. Married to Michael Morrison, also a teacher. The wholesome life my mother had always wanted for me. The exact life I had rejected when I chose Sophie. The consultation happened on March 3rd at 2 in the afternoon. I walked into the exam room expecting a routine patient interaction. The woman turned around to face me. "Jenna." We stared at each other across the exam room. She stammered. "Dr. Algood. You are the surgeon." I slid into professional mode like armor. "Mrs. Morrison." "Yes. I am Chief of Pediatric Surgery. Your obstetrician referred you for prenatal intervention. I have reviewed your ultrasounds. Your twins are in critical condition. Let us discuss your treatment options. The consultation lasted 45 minutes. I explained the procedure, the risks, the benefits, and my success rate. She asked, "Have you done this before?" 33 times. All but 2 survived. Your twins need intervention within 10 days, or you will lose both of them. She was crying by then. Can you save them? I met her eyes. Yes. That is what I do. She whispered, I am sorry. For everything. We can talk about that after your babies are safe. Right now, we schedule surgery. We scheduled it for March 10th. 1 week away. That entire week, I talked to Sophie about the patient. Not her name at first. Then I finally admitted it. It is my cousin. The one whose mother told everyone I was a failure. Are you going to tell them about me? About what you did? They will figure it out eventually. Right now, I just need to save 2 lives. On March 5th, Sophie asked, Mom, if you save her babies, does that mean they have to acknowledge you? No. It means I did my job. That is not fair. Medicine is not about fair. It is about who needs help, and who can give it. On March 9th, the day before the surgery, Jenna sent an email to my hospital account. Dr. Algood. Thank you for seeing me. I know this is complicated. I told my mother I am having surgery tomorrow, but I did not tell her who is performing it. I do not know if that is cowardly or kind. Either way, thank you for everything you are about to do. I did not respond to the email. That same day, Channel 9's health reporter contacted hospital public relations. They wanted to profile our prenatal surgery program. They had heard about the Morrison case through their medical contacts. They wanted to interview me and film the recovery. Not the surgery itself, but the story behind the program. Hospital PR brought the request directly to me. It is good exposure for the program. But if you are not comfortable, what would they ask about? The procedure. Your background. How you got into prenatal surgery. Maybe your journey to becoming chief. My journey. That word hung in the air of my office. Schedule it for after the surgery, I said. If the twins survive. When the twins survive. You have never lost a TTTS case. There is always a first. Schedule it tentatively. I will confirm after. That night, I called Sophie and told her about the interview. Are you ready for that? She asked. I do not know. But I am doing it anyway. Mom? Yeah? I am proud of you. Even if they never are. I cried quietly in my car in the parking garage before I drove home. That is all that matters, I whispered to the empty car. And then it was March 10th, Tuesday. 6:30 in the morning. 2 dying babies. A patient who was my cousin. A surgery that would save their lives. And 8 hours later, a news broadcast that would destroy 16 years of lies in 90 seconds of live television. The surgery was textbook perfect. Both twins stabilized completely. Jenna woke up in recovery asking if they were okay. I showed her the heartbeats on the monitor. She cried. Her husband held her hand. And I walked out of that recovery room knowing that in just a few hours, I would sit down with a news crew and tell them everything. Channel 9 arrived at 2:30 in the afternoon. Jessica Chen, the health correspondent, was professional and warm. They set up in a hospital conference room. They positioned lights. I changed from my scrubs into professional attire. Sophie texted me. You have got this, Mom. Tell them everything. The interview started at 3:15. Dr. Algood, you performed your 34th twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome surgery this morning. Both babies are stable. Can you walk us through what makes this procedure so challenging? I explained all the medical details. Technical. Precise. The work I had trained 16 years to do. You are one of the youngest chiefs of pediatric surgery in the entire state. That is remarkable. What drove you to this specialty? I paused. This was the moment. The moment I could keep it professional. Keep it safe. Keep the wall up. Or I could tell the truth. I became a mother at 20, I said. I was in college, pre-med, and suddenly I understood what it meant to be responsible for a life. That clarity never left me. Jessica's eyes widened slightly with surprise. You were a mother at 20. Did you continue your education? Yes. I graduated medical school, completed residency and fellowship. All while raising my daughter Sophie. She is 16 now. She wants to study medicine herself. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was impossible, I said. Which is why I did it anyway. The interview lasted an hour. They got everything they needed. Jessica said, this airs tonight at 6 o'clock. It is a powerful story, Dr. Algood. It is just medicine. No. It is a lot more than that. Your family must be very proud. I smiled. It did not reach my eyes. I will find out tonight. I went home. Sophie was already there, having taken the bus from school. We made dinner together. Pasta. Garlic bread. Our normal routine. Except we both knew exactly what was coming at 6 o'clock. At 5:45, we sat down together on the couch. The same couch we had sat on for 16 years of movie nights and homework sessions, and conversations about everything except my family. Are you nervous? Sophie asked. A little. Do you think they are watching? If they are not now, someone is calling them right now. At 6 in the evening, Channel 9's evening news began. We waited through the lead stories. Local politics. Weather forecast. Then the health segment started. Jessica's voice came through the speakers. Tonight, we are featuring a remarkable medical program right here in our city. Mercy Children's Hospital has pioneered a prenatal surgery technique that is saving lives before babies are even born. We spoke with the woman leading this program, Dr. Ella Algood. The screen cut to me sitting in that conference room. Professional. Calm. Competent. The Chiron appeared at the bottom of the screen. Dr. Ella Algood, MD Chief of Pediatric Surgery. Mercy Children's Hospital. Sophie squeezed my hand on the couch. On screen, I was explaining the surgery. The twins. The laser ablation. The success rate. Then Jessica asked about my background. And I heard myself say, I became a mother at 20. Sophie's grip on my hand tightened. I graduated medical school, completed residency and fellowship, all while raising my daughter Sophie. She is 16 now. On screen, I said her name out loud. I made her real. I made her exist to thousands of people watching all across the region. Including, somewhere across town, my family. My phone started buzzing violently. I had left it on the kitchen counter. But I could hear it from the couch. Buzz? 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 Messages flooding in. Sophie looked at me. Aren't you going to check? No. Not tonight. Tonight it is just us. We watched the rest of the segment together. It was 4 minutes long. 4 minutes that destroyed 16 years of lies. When it ended, Sophie said, Mom, you looked so official. I am official. No. I mean. You looked like you. Finally. My phone was still buzzing. Relentless. I got up. I walked to the kitchen. I opened a drawer. I dropped the phone inside. I closed the drawer. The buzzing continued for another 20 minutes. Then it stopped. Then it started again. Then it stopped. At 11:47 that night, after Sophie had gone to bed, I finally checked my phone. 89 messages. 31 of them had come in the first 4 minutes after 6:07. I scrolled through the family group chat. It was chaos. Bethany, at 6:07. Turn on channel 9 right now. Then 17 messages in rapid succession. Cousins, aunts, uncles. All variations of, is that Ella, and did you know, and she is a doctor. My mother had not posted anything in the group chat. Neither had my father. But I had 12 missed calls from my mother's cell. 6 from my father's. 2 from each of my brothers. 3 from my grandmother's assisted living facility. 6 voicemails were waiting. I listened to the first one. My mother's voice. 11:42 at night. Ella. It is Mom. I saw you on channel 9. I did not know. I did not know any of it. You are a doctor. You are chief of surgery. You have a daughter. Sophie. We have a granddaughter. Ella, please call me back. I need to explain. We need to talk. Please. I am so sorry. I am so. Her voice broke completely. The message ended. I deleted it without finishing. The second voicemail was my father. Stilted. Formal. Ella. This is your father. We saw the news. We need to discuss this. Please call. Deleted. My brothers both left awkward messages. Not sure what to say. Just, hey. Saw you on TV. Call us. Deleted. The last voicemail was my grandmother Rose. A nurse was helping her. Her voice was shaky with age. Ella, dear. It is Grandma. The nurse is helping me call because my hands do not work so well anymore. I saw you on the television tonight. You were always the smartest of all my grandchildren. I should have said that when it mattered. I am 92 now. I do not know how much time I have left. I would like to meet your daughter before I go. Not because I deserve it. Because I want to tell her that her mother is remarkable. And I want to apologize to you both. For all the years I stayed quiet. I am sorry, sweetheart. I am so proud of you. I saved that one. I sat in the dark kitchen for a very long time. The same kitchen where Sophie and I had eaten dinner every night for years. The same kitchen where we had built our life together. Our family of 2. Then I texted Sophie, even though she was asleep upstairs. When you wake up, we need to talk. About my family. About what happens next. About what you want. The next morning, March 11th, I went to work like normal. The hospital reception desk fielded 6 calls from my mother trying to get my home address. They denied all of them. Privacy policy. No exceptions. Flowers arrived at the pediatric surgery department. 3 arrangements. I donated them all to patient rooms. Greeting cards piled up on my assistant's desk. I did not open any of them. My surgical colleague, Dr. Rahman, stopped me in the hallway. I saw your interview. It was powerful. Your family must be thrilled. My family did not know I was a doctor until yesterday. He stared at me. I am sorry. What? Long story. They thought I dropped out 16 years ago. I never corrected them. That is, Ella. That is extraordinary. Restraint or cowardice? Depends on the day. No, he said. That is strength. You did not need their validation to become this. I had never thought of it quite that way before. That afternoon, I was in surgery. A routine procedure. Nothing like the Morrison case. When my resident mentioned, Dr. Algood, there is a woman in the waiting room claiming to be your mother. She has been here since 7 this morning. Security asked if you want them to remove her. I did not look up from the surgical field. Tell security to inform her I am in surgery and unavailable. If she is still there when I am done, have them escort her out politely. When I finished the surgery 3 hours later, security told me she had left. But she came back the next day. And the day after that. Over the next 4 days, my phone registered 127 text messages from family. My mother called the hospital 6 more times. My father sent 2 emails to my hospital account. My brothers each tried once, got no response, and gave up. On March 14th, I finally listened to all the voicemails. My mother's messages progressed from frantic to grief-stricken to desperate. My father's were stilted and formal. My brothers were awkward and unsure. But my grandmother's voice stayed with me. 92 years old. Running out of time. Asking to meet Sophie. Asking to apologize. That night, Sophie came home from her study group and found me sitting at the kitchen table with my phone in my hand. Did you listen to them? She asked. Yeah. What did they say? I told her all of it. The apologies. The desperation. The requests to meet her. The claim that they did not know. What do you want to do? Sophie asked. I do not know. What do you want? She sat down across from me. 16 years old. The daughter I had raised alone. The daughter they had never met. Do you want to forgive them? She asked. I do not know. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. I can forgive them and still never let them back into our lives. What is the difference? Forgiveness is for me. It is letting go of anger. Reconciliation is for them. It is letting them back in. I am considering the first. I am not sure about the second. What about your grandmother? I paused. She is different. She is old. She is running out of time. And she taught me things my parents did not. How to be kind even when people are not kind back. Do you want me to meet her? Only if you want to. Sophie thought about it carefully. I want to. But not your parents. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Okay, I said. That is your choice. And I will protect that choice. The next day, March 15th, my mother was waiting in the hospital lobby when I arrived at work. Security had called ahead to ask for permission. I agreed to 15 minutes. In a private conference room. I had not seen my mother in 16 years. She was 58 now. Thinner than I remembered. Grey hair. Lines around her eyes that had not been there before. But when she looked at me, I saw myself. The same eyes. The same nose. The genetic mirror I could not escape. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. We can sit and talk. We sat across from each other at a conference table. The same kind of table where I met with families to discuss their children's surgeries. Where I delivered good news and bad news and always maintained control. You look so much like me at your age, she said. I know. I see it every day. Ella. I do not know where to start. I am so sorry. We were wrong about everything. You were. But sorry does not undo 16 years. I know. I know that. But I need you to understand. We thought we were protecting you. From what? My own daughter. My own future. My own choices. From the judgment. From the difficulty. From throwing your life away on. Don't finish that sentence, I said quietly. Sophie is not a mistake. She never was. My mother was crying now. I know. I can see that now. I saw it on TV. You became everything we said you could not. And you did it without us. Yes. I did. Can I meet her? Sophie. Can I meet my granddaughter? No. Please. I know I do not deserve it, but you don't. And she does not deserve to meet someone who spent 16 years pretending she did not exist. You do not get to be her grandmother because you feel guilty now. Ella. Please. You had 16 years. You chose reputation over her. Over me. That is not something you fix with an apology. She was sobbing now. Full, wrenching sobs. What can I do to make this right? I looked at her. This woman who had given birth to me. Who had raised me. Who had taught me to pray and tie my shoes and set a table. Who had also called me irresponsible and told everyone I was a worthless dropout sleeping around on welfare. Nothing, I said. There is nothing you can do. I built a life without you. Sophie and I are a family without you. That is not going to change. So you will never forgive me. I did not say that. But forgiveness does not mean you get access to my life. It means I am not carrying your choices anymore. I stood up. The meeting was over. She did not move. She just sat there crying. I walked to the door. I turned back. You should go now, I said. And do not come back to my hospital. I left her sitting there. That same week, the social consequences for my parents became very public. The church bulletin ran an article about my achievement. Parishioner's daughter honored for medical achievement. My parents were notably absent from Mass that Sunday for the first time in 30 years. My mother's friends from the Women's League called her. They asked questions. Why did you not mention your daughter is a doctor? Why did you not tell us about your granddaughter? My father's colleagues at work asked similar questions. Neighbors stopped them on the sidewalk to say they had seen the news. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Did you know? They could not say yes without admitting they had ignored their daughter's success for 16 years. They could not say no without admitting they had been completely out of their daughter's life for 16 years. Either answer made them look terrible. The lie they had built to protect their reputation was now destroying it. On March 16th, I took Sophie to meet my grandmother Rose at the assisted living facility. She was in a wheelchair. 92 years old. Frail but completely lucid. When she saw Sophie, she started to cry. You look like your mother did at your age, Rose said. Same eyes. Determined. Mom says I have your nose, Sophie replied. Rose laughed out loud. The Algood nose. It is distinguished. Not pretty. But it lasts. She looked at me. I am sorry I was not there when you needed family. You taught me everything that mattered before that, I said. How to pray. How to be kind. How to stand up straight even when you are scared. Did you use any of it? All of it. Especially the standing up straight part. Rose looked at Sophie. Your mother is the strongest person in this family. She always was. I should have told her that 16 years ago. We stayed for an hour. Rose told Sophie stories about me as a child. Sophie listened, laughing in some places, quiet in others. seeing her mother through different eyes for the first time. As we were leaving, Rose asked Sophie, "Will you come back? I do not have much time left. And I would like to know you before I go." Sophie looked at me. I nodded. "Yes," Sophie said. "We will come back." Rose looked at me. "Thank you for giving an old woman something she does not deserve." "You are not my parents," I said. "You get different rules." On March 19th, I sent one message to the family group chat. The first time I had acknowledged their existence in 16 years. 23 people would see it simultaneously. I wrote, "This is Ella. I am writing this once so everyone has the same information. I am not interested in reconciliation with my parents. That door closed 16 years ago, when they gave me an ultimatum, and I chose my daughter. I do not regret that choice. I never will. Sophie and I have built a life without all of you. We are a family. We do not need completion or validation from anyone who spent 16 years pretending we did not exist. To those who reached out with kind words, thank you. I appreciate it. To those who participated in spreading lies about me, I forgive you. But forgiveness does not mean access to my life. As for my parents, I hope you understand that every choice has consequences. You chose reputation over relationship. This is the consequence. I will not be responding to individual messages. Please respect our privacy. Ella. I sent it. I put my phone down. I did not check it again for 6 hours. When I finally looked, there were responses. Dozens of them. But 2 stood out. My brother Andrew. I am sorry I never stood up for you. I was young and scared. But that is not an excuse. I would like to know my niece someday, if you ever allow that. No pressure. Just know the option exists. And Jenna. Thank you for saving my family. Both my babies. And my understanding of what family should be. You showed me strength I did not know existed. On March 17th, Jenna's twins were discharged from the hospital. Healthy. Strong. She brought a thank you card to my office. 8 pages. Handwritten. I told my kids about you, she said. When they are old enough to understand, I am going to tell them their Aunt Ella saved their lives. Is that okay? They are your kids. You tell them what you want. I want them to know you. Not as a legend. As a person. Maybe someday, I said. When Sophie is ready. When I am ready. When there has been enough time. How much time? I do not know. But I will let you know. That is more than I deserve, she said. Thank you. The last line of her card read, "You broke a cycle I did not know existed. Whatever you do next, I am learning from it. And I promise my kids will never be someone's cautionary tale." I kept that card in my desk drawer. The only communication from my extended family I did not throw away. On March 18th, I found Sophie's journal open on the kitchen table. She had left it there. Intentionally. I think she wanted me to read it. The entry said, "Mom said forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. I did not understand that until this week. I thought forgiving someone meant letting them back in. But Mom showed me it means letting go of what they did, so it does not keep hurting you. She forgave them so she could be free. Not so they could be comfortable. I do not want to meet my grandparents. Maybe I will someday. But not because I owe them anything. Only if I want to. Mom says that is my choice and she will protect it. That is what family does. Real family." I read it in the kitchen at 11 at night. I cried quietly. The first tears I had shed about my family in 16 years. Not tears of grief. Tears of pride that Sophie understood. She came downstairs for water. She saw me reading her journal. Instead of being embarrassed, she said, "I wanted you to read that. I wanted you to know I see what you did. And I am proud to be your daughter." On March 19th, we went to the recovery support meeting I volunteer at every week. Parents balancing medical careers and single parenthood. 12 people sitting in a circle of folding chairs in a church basement. A woman shared her story. They told me I would never amount to anything after I had my daughter at 19. Today she graduated college with honors. And you know what? I do not need them to apologize. I do not need them to say they were wrong. Because my daughter knows I was right. That is all that matters. Sophie squeezed my hand beside me. I almost spoke. I almost shared my story. But some stories do not need words. Some stories are already told. Walking to the car afterward, Sophie asked, "Mom, if you could go back and change anything, would you?" I did not hesitate. No. Every hard thing led to you. I would not trade that for anything. On March 21st, a Friday morning, I had a new patient consultation. A high-risk pregnancy. The woman asked, "Are you the surgeon from the news?" "Yes. I am." "Good," she said. "I want someone who fights for their patients the way you fought for your life." I smiled. That is exactly what I do. During the consultation, my phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. She was at school, but she had sent a photo. College brochures. Pre-med programs. The caption read, "Following your footsteps. Love you, Mom." I texted back between patients. "You do not have to follow my path. You can make your own." Her response. "I know. But I like your path. You built it yourself. That is what I want to learn how to do." Me? Then I will teach you. Not how to be me. How to be you. Without anyone's permission. Sophie already learned that. I had a good teacher. I have a photo on my desk now. Taken the morning after the broadcast. Sophie and me. Both exhausted. Both smiling. Both free. It replaced the empty frame that had sat there for 16 years. Sometimes I think about my mother watching that news broadcast. The moment the Chiron appeared. The moment she realized she had a granddaughter she had never met. And a daughter who had become everything she said was impossible. Sometimes I think about my father hearing my voice on television explaining prenatal surgery. Calm. Professional. Authoritative. Nothing like the scared 20-year-old he called irresponsible. Sometimes I think about all 32 people from that Easter photo seeing me on their screens. And realizing the space where I should have been was never empty. I was just building something they could not see. Something they would never believe until someone else told them it was real. But mostly, I think about Sophie. My daughter. My North Star. The reason I kept going when I had $3 in my bank account, and 4 hours of sleep, and no idea how I would make it through medical school. The daughter they said I had ruined my life for. She did not ruin my life. She gave me one. And that is something my parents will never understand. That is something they lost the chance to understand 16 years ago, when they put a check on a kitchen table and asked me to choose. I chose Sophie. They chose reputation. I built a family. They built a lie. And on March 10th, 2026, at 6:07 in the evening, that lie burned alive on live television while my daughter and I sat together on our couch in the home we made, and we watched it happen. They want reconciliation now. They want to meet Sophie. They want to be part of the life they said I would never have. But here is what they do not understand. I already have a family. Sophie and I built it together. Every impossible day. Every exhausted night. Every moment they said I would fail. We built it without their permission. Without their money. Without their approval. And we do not need them to complete it. Forgiveness does not mean access. Healing does not mean reconciliation. And family is not the people who share your blood. Family is the people who stay. The people who believe in you when you are 20 years old and pregnant and terrified. The people who watch you become a doctor while sitting in a daycare waiting room. The people who read your medical journals at age 12 because they want to understand why you are never home. Family is Sophie. My grandmother Rose, who apologized when it mattered. My colleague Dr. Rahman, who called my 16 years of silence extraordinary restraint instead of cowardice. The parents at the recovery meeting who understand that sometimes impossible is just another word for necessary. Family is not the people who erased me from photos and told everyone I was a worthless dropout sleeping around on welfare while I was putting myself through medical school with a baby on my hip. Those people had 16 years to know me. They chose not to. That is on them, not me. And now they get to live with that choice the same way I lived with mine. The difference is, I chose love. They chose reputation. I chose my daughter. They chose a lie. I chose to build something real. They chose to destroy something they never tried to understand. So no. They do not get to meet Sophie. They do not get to be grandparents. They do not get to sit at our table and pretend the last 16 years did not happen. Because they did happen. Every single day of them. Every moment I worked 3 jobs and studied until 3 in the morning and chose my daughter over everything they said mattered. Those years made me who I am. Chief of Pediatric Surgery. The woman who saves babies before they are born. The mother who showed her daughter that impossible is just the starting point. My parents do not get to benefit from the person I became after they told me I would be nothing. That person belongs to Sophie. And to me. And to every patient whose life I save. And to every parent at that recovery meeting who needs to know it is possible. That person does not belong to the people who called me irresponsible and dropped me from family photos and told 32 people I was a worthless failure. They do not get her. They never will. And that is the consequence of their choice. My name is Ella Algood. I am 36 years old. I am Chief of Pediatric Surgery at Mercy Children's Hospital. I am the mother of Sophie, who is brilliant and kind and everything I could have hoped for. And I built this life from nothing. No family support. No safety net. No one believing I could do it, except me. And one tiny infant who became a 16-year-old with college brochures and her mother's determination. That is my story. Not the story my parents told. Not the story my family believed. This one. The real one. And it ends with Sophie and me together. Strong. Unbreakable. That is all the ending I need.